one boy had no mother or father. They had died, and he lived with his grandmother. But his grandmother was very old and couldn't keep constant watch over him. So the boy often skipped school and came home only when he wanted to eat and sleep. The rest of the time, he wandered on his own, stealing apples from other people's gardens, teasing other children, and sometimes even adults. The boy also loved to peer into other people's windows. He could spend long hours watching how other children, who had mothers and fathers, lived. Sometimes, when he saw children being scolded and punished, he was glad that he only had his grandmother. But more often, he became angry when he saw mothers and fathers loving their children, spoiling them, and giving them gifts. And when the boy got angry, he would throw a rock through the window and break the glass. He felt like he was ruining the lives of other children. But when he returned a few days later to the window he'd broken, the boy saw he'd done nothing wrong. The boy was caught several times, and even beaten severely once, but he still continued to peer into windows and break them. One day, the boy was walking far from his home and saw a very old house. In such an old house, the boy thought, happy children can't possibly live. But when he peered through the window, he saw that many children lived there, and they all had a mother and father. The children also had many toys, and they all played together without fighting. Even the father played with the children. The boy moved away to escape, picked up a large stone from the ground, threw it at the window, and immediately took off running. But after running less than 10 steps, he stopped, because he didn't hear the sound of breaking glass. Then the boy picked up another stone and threw it at the window again. He even saw a rock fly straight at the window, but instead of breaking the glass, the rock disappeared into the window, as if it were water, not glass. The boy threw a few more rocks, but they also disappeared into the glass without breaking. When he returned to the window, he saw the entire family, children and adults alike, looking out the window, right at the boy. Although they couldn't see him, as it was dark outside. Then the boy saw someone else appear in the room. It was a huge creature, with long tentacles like an octopus. The creature swam up to the window and also looked at the boy, although it had no eyes. And to the boy, it seemed as if the window extended straight into the depths of the ocean. Then the tentacles reached out toward the boy, right through the glass. But the boy managed to jump back. Then the creature climbed out the window, and its long tentacles reached out again, reaching for the boy. The boy ran away. He was so scared that he ran all the way home. But no one caught up with him. That creature could apparently only live in water. The boy told his grandmother about this monster. "I saw it on TV," the boy lied. "Don't be afraid," said the grandmother, "it's a chimera. Creatures like that only live at the very bottom of the ocean, and even when they surface, they die." And yet, the boy never went back to that house. In fact, he now tried to stay away from any windows. After all, he now felt like he could see the ocean depths beyond the glass. And then he saw the chimera again. The boy stood outside a toy store, examining the new toys in the display case. But suddenly the light behind the case went out, and a chimera emerged from the darkness beyond the window. It seemed to be waiting there, and immediately its tentacles reached out toward the boy. The boy screamed and jumped back, right at the feet of a passerby, who knocked him down and the Chimera's tentacles grabbed at nothing. "Hey, kid, be careful," the passerby said, lifting the boy from the ground. The boy pointed to a storefront, but the Chimera was no longer there. At home, the boy covered the windows with paper before going to bed. But when he went outside the next day, he saw the dark ocean water in every window, where the Chimera was waiting. It swam from one window to the next, waiting for the boy to come close. But the boy was wary and kept his distance. "You'll never be able to reach me," the boy shouted through one of the windows. The Chimera didn't respond, but the boy felt it watching him. Escaping the Chimera wasn't hard. At school, he sat at the farthest desk, farthest from the windows, and at home, he asked his grandmother to cover the windows with paper or close the curtains. The windows of the store near his house, where he went to buy bread, had long since been painted over. But the Chimera continued to wait, watching the boy from afar through the uncovered windows. The next day, it began to rain. Large puddles remained in its way. The boy walked home from school, almost completely oblivious to the Chimera. He only occasionally glanced around to avoid getting too close to the houses. But suddenly, when he stepped in a puddle, his foot sank knee-deep, even though the puddle wasn't that deep. When he looked down, he saw that beneath his foot was no longer a puddle, but a hole leading to the depths of the ocean. The boy quickly pulled his foot out. The Chimera's tentacles were already reaching out from the hole after him. The boy started to run, but there were too many puddles around, and the Chimera moved much faster underwater. One of the tentacles finally grabbed the boy's leg. "Help!" the boy screamed. But the people passing by seemed oblivious. They moved slowly and smoothly, as if underwater. Another tentacle of the Chimera grabbed the boy's other leg. The boy fell. "Help!" the boy screamed again. The people began to look around, searching for the one screaming. They seemed surprised. Then they began raising their hands and pointing at the boy. "Help!" the boy screamed again. But the people only stared at him silently. They had no mouths or eyes, and instead of arms, they had writhing tentacles.